Wrong place, bitch. The words land flat and cold across the morning yard. 32 cadets freeze mid-stretch. Dawn barely touches the edges of Norfolk Naval Academy's training ground, but Cadet Damon Reese stands there like he owns every inch of concrete under his boots. 6'2", shoulders wide enough to block the sunrise. He tilts his head at the woman in faded blue standing near the equipment shed. This yard's for real soldiers. Nova Hale doesn't move, doesn't blink. Her uniform hangs loose on a frame that looks too thin for the weight of the duffel at her feet. Hair pulled tight, face clean of expression. She places her gear bag down with both hands, grip steady, fingers aligned along the seams, before straightening to parade rest. Reese crosses the distance in 4 strides. His shadow swallows her whole. He leans in close enough that she can smell last night's beer and this morning's coffee. "You deaf?" His hand shoots out and grabs her collar. Fabric bunches in his fist as he shoves her backward into the corrugated wall of the shed. Metal rattles. Her head snaps back, but she doesn't cry out. Just stands there, shoulders squared, breathing steady through her nose. Another cadet, shorter, stockier, buzz cut so fresh the scalp shows pink, moves in from her left. His forearm slides around her throat from behind. Not tight enough to crush, but enough to pin, enough to humiliate. "We don't need charity cases here," Reese says. His voice drops lower, meant only for her. "Go find a desk job, file paperwork. Make coffee for officers who actually earn their stripes." Nova's chest rises and falls. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold. The rhythm doesn't break even as the pressure increases against her windpipe. Her fingers stay loose at her sides. No fists, no tension. Just controlled breathing and muscle memory that runs deeper than bone. 20 feet away, Chief Petty Officer Mason sets down his clipboard. He's 53, silver threading through the dark stubble on his jaw, eyes that have seen 3 tours and 2 wars. He watches the scene unfold with the stillness of someone trying to decide whether to intervene or let it play out. His mouth tightens into a thin line. "Reese just made contact with the wrong target," he mutters under his breath. The other cadets stand frozen. Some look away. Others watch with the morbid curiosity of people who know they're witnessing something ugly but can't stop themselves from staring. No one speaks. No one steps forward. Reese releases Nova's collar with a shove that sends her stumbling 2 steps to the right. She catches herself without drama, straightens, adjusts her uniform with hands that don't shake. When she looks up, her eyes meet his for exactly 1 second. Cold, flat, empty of fear. It's that look, more than anything else, that makes the hairs on Mason's neck stand up. "Fall in with the others," Reese says. He turns away like she's already forgotten. "And stay out of my way." Nova bends to retrieve her duffel. Her grip is wrong for someone untrained. Index and middle finger hooked precisely where the reinforced strap meets the main body, thumb braced against the seam. Mason catches it, his eyes narrow. That's Operator Carey. Muscle memory from hauling packs through hostile terrain where every second counts and fumbling gets you killed. She walks past Reese without a word, takes her place at the rear of formation. Her breathing never changes. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Combat breathing, the kind they drill into special operations candidates until it becomes automatic under fire. Mason picks up his clipboard and moves closer. His shadow falls across Nova's peripheral vision, but she doesn't acknowledge him, just stares straight ahead at nothing. "You all right?" His voice is low enough that only she can hear. "Yes, Chief." 2 words, clipped, respectful, offering nothing. He wants to push. Wants to ask where she trained, why her stance is textbook CQB, why she let Reese put hands on her without so much as a flinch. But the morning drill schedule waits for no one, and Reese is already barking orders at the formation. "Listen up. 2-mile run. Full gear. Anyone falls behind does it again after chow. Move out." The cadets scatter to grab packs and weapons. Nova is already moving before the order finishes, duffel secured, boots laced, face still showing nothing but quiet focus. Mason watches her blend into the middle of the pack, not leading, not trailing, just another body in formation, unremarkable, forgettable, except for that grip, and that breathing, and the scar he glimpsed peeking out from under her collar when Reese shoved her, a jagged line of pink tissue that looks like shrapnel or blast burns. Mason pulls out his phone and types a quick message to an old contact at Personnel Command. "Need a file check. Cadet Nova Hale. Something doesn't add up." The formation moves out. Boots hammer concrete in unison, the sun climbs higher, and Nova Hale runs with her head up and her breathing controlled, carrying weight that should exhaust her in the first quarter mile but doesn't. Reese glances back once, smirks when he sees her still keeping pace. He doesn't know yet, none of them do, but Mason has a sinking feeling that this base is about to get very complicated. If you want to see what happens when a ghost decides to stop hiding, hit that like button and subscribe, because this is only the beginning. The run ends 93 minutes later. Nova crosses the finish line in the middle third of the pack. Not first, not last. Exactly where someone trying not to draw attention would place themselves. She sets her gear down with the same precise grip, wipes sweat from her forehead with the back of her wrist, and falls into parade rest while Reese prowls the line looking for victims. He stops in front of a cadet who finished last, a kid barely 20 with acne scars and terror in his eyes. "You think the enemy waits for you to catch your breath?" Reese jabs a finger into the kid's chest. "Drop and give me 50, now!" The cadet drops, starts counting. His arms shake by rep 15. Reese moves on. His gaze skips over Nova like she's furniture. Not worth his time, not worth the effort. Just another body filling a slot until attrition weeds her out. Mason dismisses the formation. The cadets scatter toward the chow hall, a low brick building with fluorescent lights and the smell of industrial eggs and burnt coffee. Nova follows at a distance, always 3 or 4 bodies behind the main group, never quite part of it. Inside the DFX, she takes a tray, loads it with scrambled eggs, toast, black coffee, finds a seat at the far end of a long table where 2 other cadets are already eating in silence. She sits, eats methodically, drinks her coffee black, says nothing. Reese enters 5 minutes later with his crew, 4 cadets who orbit him like moons around a planet. They grab food and take over the center table, voices loud, laughter louder. One of them spots Nova sitting alone. "Hey, Reese, your charity case made it through the run." Reese glances over. His smile is all teeth and no warmth. He picks up his tray and walks to Nova's table, sets it down across from her with a thud that makes the other 2 cadets quietly excuse themselves. "You're tougher than you look," Reese says. He leans back in his chair, arms crossed. "I'll give you that." Nova chews, swallows, takes a sip of coffee, doesn't respond. "Strong silent type, huh?" He tilts his head. "That's cute, but this isn't some diversity quota program. You want to stay here, you prove you belong. And right now you're just taking up space." She sets her coffee down, meets his eyes for the second time today. Still flat, still cold, still utterly unafraid. "Understood," she says. One word, no inflection, no challenge, just acknowledgement. Reese's smile fades. He doesn't like that. Doesn't like the way she looks at him like he's background noise. He leans forward, elbows on the table. "You got a problem with me?" "No." "Then why do I feel like you're not scared enough?" Nova picks up her fork, takes another bite of eggs, chews, swallows. "Should I be?" The question hangs there, simple, direct, stripped of emotion, and somehow that makes it worse. Reese's jaw tightens. He stands abruptly, chair scraping loud against linoleum. "Watch yourself," he says, walks away. His crew follows, throwing looks over their shoulders like they're waiting for her to crack. She doesn't. Mason watches from the serving line. He's been in the Navy long enough to recognize when someone is playing a role. And Nova Hale is playing hers too well. Nobody stays that calm under pressure unless they've been trained to. Unless fear is something they've learned to compartmentalize and lock away until the mission is complete. He files it away, adds it to the growing list of inconsistencies. After chow, the cadets report to the classroom building for lectures on naval history and tactical doctrine. Nova takes a seat in the back row, pulls out a notebook, writes in neat, efficient script that doesn't waste space. The instructor, a lieutenant commander with a receding hairline and a monotone voice, drones through a PowerPoint about amphibious assault operations. Reese sits 3 rows ahead. He turns once, catches Nova's eye, mouths the word trash with exaggerated lip movements. She doesn't react, just refocuses on the slide deck and keeps taking notes. At 1400 hours, the cadets break for individual evaluations. Nova is scheduled for a weapons proficiency assessment on the pistol range. She signs in with the range master, receives her eye and ear protection, and waits her turn at the firing line. Reese appears. Of course he does. He sidles up to the range master, a gunnery sergeant with 4 arms like bridge cables, and says something too quiet for Nova to hear. The gunny glances at her, shrugs, makes a note on his clipboard. When Nova's name is called, she steps to the line. The gunny hands her a 9mm. She checks the chamber, verifies the magazine, and assumes a firing stance that would make any instructor nod in approval. Feet shoulder width, knees bent, grip high and tight. "On my command," the gunny says. 5 rounds, center mass, 15 yards. She nods. "Ready. Fire." The first shot cracks out, then the second, third, fourth, fifth, all within a 2-inch grouping around the heart of the paper target. She sets the weapon down, magazine out, slide locked back, and steps away from the line. The gunny walks to the target, pulls it down, studies it, looks at Nova, looks at Reese, says nothing. Reese's smirk falters. Just for a second, then he laughs, loud and forced. "Lucky shots," he announces to anyone listening. "Wind's favorable today." Nova collects her gear, signs out, leaves the range without comment. Evening comes. The cadets are dismissed to their quarters. Nova shares a small room with 2 other women, both of whom have already made it clear they're not interested in making friends with the new girl who attracts Reese's attention like a lightning rod. They change into civilian clothes and leave for town. Nova stays behind. She sits on the edge of her bunk, opens her duffel, and pulls out a worn leather case. Inside, a photograph, printed on photo paper, edges frayed from handling. A young man in dress whites, 20 years old, maybe 21, dark hair, bright smile, eyes full of a future he would never see. At the bottom, written in faded ballpoint pen, Aiden Hale, 2021, first duty station. Nova traces the edge of the photo with her thumb. Her expression doesn't change, but something in her posture shifts, a weight settling onto shoulders already carrying too much. She sets the photo aside and pulls out a second item, a manila folder. Inside are printed documents, incident reports, medical examiner notes, witness statements, all stamped with red letters, case closed, accidental death. But Nova knows better. 4 years ago, Aiden Hale was a cadet at this same academy. First year, eager, determined to make his family proud. And Damon Reese was a second-year cadet with a reputation for pushing boundaries and a cruel streak he hid behind military discipline. Reese ran an unofficial hazing ritual, something off the books, something the instructors either didn't know about or chose to ignore. He called it the proving. Cadets who wanted to earn his respect, or avoid his wrath, had to complete a challenge. Stupid challenges, dangerous challenges. Aiden's challenge: jump from the top of the 14-meter training tower into the safety net below, except Reese had moved the net. Just a few feet, not enough to be obvious, enough to be lethal. Aiden hesitated at the top. Nova has read the witness statements enough times to memorize them. 3 cadets saw what happened. All of them heard Aiden's voice, thin and scared, carried on the wind. "Reese, please, this is too high. The net isn't." "Jump, bitch, or leave the Navy." So Aiden jumped, and the net wasn't there. He fell 14 meters onto concrete. His neck broke on impact. He died before the ambulance arrived. The investigation was fast, too fast. Reese gave a statement, said Aiden panicked and jumped before they could move the net back into position. An accident, tragic, unavoidable. The 3 witnesses corroborated his version. Later, Nova would learn why. Reese's father was a captain stationed at the Pentagon. 1 phone call, 1 favor, 1 officer willing to make sure the paperwork reflected the right narrative. Accident, not negligence, not manslaughter. Just a training mishap that ended a promising career before it began. Nova was deployed when it happened. Deep in some place she still can't talk about, doing things she'll never write down. By the time she got the call, Aiden was already buried. The case was already closed. The academy had already moved on. But ghosts don't move on. They wait. They watch. They come back when the time is right. She folds the papers and slides them back into the folder, places the photo on top, closes the case. Her jaw sets in a line that could cut glass. "I will watch you fall the way Aiden fell," she whispers to the empty room. "And I will make sure everyone knows why." The next morning starts the same. Formation at 05:30, 2-mile run. Chow, classes. But this time, when the cadets break for lunch, Reese makes his move. Nova is walking across the quad when she hears her name. Not from Reese, from a loudspeaker mounted outside the admin building. "Cadet Hale, report to the commandant's office, immediately." She changes direction, walks through the main doors, up 2 flights of stairs, and knocks on a door marked Commandant, Captain Torres. "Enter." She steps inside. Captain Torres sits behind a desk piled with paperwork. He's late 40s, graying at the temples, expression neutral in the way of career officers who have learned to give nothing away. Cadet Hale. He gestures to the chair across from him. Sit. She sits, parade rest even seated, hands on knees, back straight. Torres opens a file, scans it, frowns. I received a report this morning. Concerns about your conduct during yesterday's weapons qualification. Nova's expression doesn't flicker. Sir, Cadet Reese filed a formal complaint. States that you violated safety protocols, specifically that you failed to clear your weapon properly before stepping away from the line. It's a lie. She knows it. Torres probably knows it too. But lies wrapped in official paperwork have weight. That is incorrect, sir. I followed all safety procedures. Gunnery Sergeant Vance witnessed the entire sequence. Torres nods slowly. I have the gunnery sergeant's statement as well. He corroborates your account. He closes the file, leans back, studies her. So why do you think Cadet Reese would file a false report? She doesn't hesitate. I couldn't say, sir. You have no opinion? My opinion is not relevant, sir. The facts are documented. Torres almost smiles. Almost. Dismissed, Cadet. She stands, salutes, leaves. The moment she clears the building, her phone buzzes. Text message from an unknown number. You should have stayed gone, bitch. This is just the beginning. She deletes it, keeps walking. Think Reese is playing games? This is about to get much worse. Drop a comment with your prediction and smash that subscribe button. By 1500 hours, the entire academy knows about the complaint. Whispers follow Nova through hallways. Cadets who might have given her a chance now look away. Reese's crew makes sure of it. They sit at the center table in the DFAC and laugh just loud enough for her to hear. Falsifying safety violations? That's serious. Captain went easy on her. Should have been written up. Give it time, she'll wash out. Nova eats her meal, drinks her coffee, ignores them. But she's counting. Counting the number of people who believe Reese without question. Counting the number of people who will be witnesses when she finally drops the mask. That evening, after chow, the cadets are required to attend a leadership seminar in the main auditorium. Mandatory attendance. Nova takes a seat in the back row. Reese and his crew take the front, directly in the instructor's line of sight. Model cadets. Perfect posture, attentive expressions. 15 minutes into the lecture, Reese's phone buzzes. He glances at it, smirks, nudges the cadet next to him and shows him the screen. The cadet laughs, covers his mouth, passes the phone down the row. By the time the lecture ends, half the auditorium has seen whatever was on that phone. Nova walks past on her way to the exit and catches fragments of conversation. Did you see her test scores? Barely passing. How did she even get in here? She doesn't stop, doesn't ask, just files it away with everything else. Back in her quarters, she opens her laptop, navigates to the Academy's internal database, logs in with credentials she shouldn't have but obtained anyway, finds her personnel file, and there it is. Someone has altered her entrance exam scores, dropped her aptitude ratings from the 95th percentile to the 32nd, changed her physical fitness scores from exceptional to barely adequate. It's crude. It's obvious. But it works because nobody looks closely at cadets who are already failing. She takes screenshots, saves them to an encrypted drive, closes the laptop. Then she does 50 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 3 sets of pull-ups on the bar mounted above her door. Works until her muscles burn and her mind goes quiet. Works until the anger is something she can control instead of something that controls her. By the time her roommates return, she's showered and lying in her bunk, staring at the ceiling. They don't speak to her, don't acknowledge her. Just change into sleep clothes and turn off the lights. Nova doesn't sleep. She watches the shadows shift across the ceiling and waits for morning. The pattern continues for 3 days. Reese escalates. A stolen meal tray in the DFAC. Her name scratched off the duty roster. A formal counseling session over uniform infractions she didn't commit. Each incident small enough to seem petty. All of them together, a campaign designed to grind her down. Nova absorbs it, says nothing, does nothing. Just keeps breathing 4 counts in, 4 counts out, and counting the mistakes Reese is making. On the 4th day, he makes his biggest one yet. It's late afternoon. The cadets are running obstacle course drills, rope climbs, wall vaults, low crawl through mud pits. Reese finishes first, as always, stands at the finish line with his arms crossed, watching the others struggle through. Nova is in the middle of the pack again. Not first, not last, just there. She hits the rope climb and ascends hand over hand, using her legs to grip and push. Textbook technique, no wasted motion. She's halfway up when she hears Reese's voice below. "You sure that rope's rated for dead weight?" Laughter from his crew. Nova reaches the top, slaps the bell, descends, drops the last 5 feet and lands in a crouch that absorbs the impact through her knees and hips. Stands, moves to the next obstacle. Reese steps into her path. "Not bad for a charity case." He looks her up and down. "But you're still the weakest link here. Everyone knows it. It's just a matter of time before you quit." Nova doesn't respond. Just stands there, chest rising and falling with controlled breaths, mud streaked across her uniform, eyes locked on some point past his shoulder. "Look at me when I'm talking to you." She shifts her gaze, meets his eyes. Cold, empty, patient. Reese's smile fades. Something in her expression makes his jaw tighten. "You think you're tough?" He steps closer, invades her space. "You think you can just ignore me and I'll go away?" "I think," Nova says quietly, "that you talk too much." The words land like a slap. Reese's face flushes red. The other cadets stop what they're doing and watch. Even the instructor, a grizzled chief with 30 years under his belt, pauses mid-correction to see what happens next. Reese leans in until his face is inches from hers. "Say that again." Nova doesn't blink. "You talk too much." For a moment, nobody moves. Then Reese grabs her by the front of her shirt and shoves her backward. She stumbles but doesn't fall, just resets her stance and waits. The instructor steps forward. "Reese, stand down." Reese ignores him. He's too far gone now, too angry, too used to people backing down when he pushes. "You want to play tough? Fine." He turns to his crew. "Hold her." 2 of them move forward. The instructor shouts something, but Reese waves him off. "Just a training exercise, Chief. Teaching the new cadet how we handle insubordination." The 2 cadets grab Nova's arms. She doesn't resist, just lets them grip her wrists and pull her arms out to the sides. Reese circles around behind her. "Choke her out!" he yells. His voice echoes across the obstacle course. "Show her what real soldiers do to trash that doesn't belong." He wraps his forearm around her throat from behind. Starts to apply pressure. His crew tightens their grip on her wrists. They're grinning. They think this is a game. Nova stands perfectly still, eyes open, breathing controlled. 4 in, 4 hold. Then she moves. Her right hand rotates inward, breaks the grip on her wrist with a twist that uses leverage instead of strength. She drives her elbow backward into Reese's solar plexus. He gasps, his arm loosens. She ducks under it, pivots on her left foot and uses his own momentum to spin him around. Her left hand shoots up and catches his wrist, twists, locks. His shoulder rotates in a direction it's not supposed to go, and he shouts in pain. The cadet still holding her left arm tries to react. She drives her right palm into his sternum, precise, controlled, just enough force to knock the wind out of him. He staggers back. Reese tries to pull free. She adjusts her grip, steps behind him, and uses a hip throw that sends him crashing face first into the mud. Before he can recover, she drops to one knee beside him, locks his arm behind his back, and applies just enough pressure to freeze him in place. Total elapsed time, 1.8 seconds. The obstacle course goes silent. Every cadet, every instructor, every voice, just gone. Nova holds Reese there for exactly 3 seconds, then releases him and stands, steps back, returns to parade rest like nothing happened. Reese pushes himself up, spits mud, spins around with murder in his eyes. "Who the hell are you?" Nova doesn't answer, just looks at him with that same flat, empty expression she's worn since day one. The instructor, Chief Hawkins, finally finds his voice. "Everyone back to your stations, now." The cadets scatter. Reese stays frozen, staring at Nova like he's seeing her for the first time. She holds his gaze for one more second, then turns and walks back to the starting line of the obstacle course. Chief Hawkins follows Reese with his eyes, then looks at Nova. His expression is complicated, concerned, suspicious, impressed. "Hail, my office, after drills." "Yes, Chief." The rest of the session passes in tense silence. Nobody speaks to Nova. Nobody speaks to Reese. Everyone just focuses on completing their obstacles and getting the hell off the course. When it's over, Nova reports to Chief Hawkins' office as ordered. He's sitting behind a metal desk scarred with years of use, arms crossed, face unreadable. "Sit." She sits. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" "I trained, Chief." "That's not training." That's operational experience, close quarters combat, disarm and neutralize. I've seen SEAL candidates with less precision. Nova says nothing. Hawkins leans forward. I'm going to ask you one more time. Who are you? Cadet Nova Hale, Chief. That's your name, not your background. She meets his eyes, holds them, says nothing. Hawkins exhales slowly, picks up a pen, taps it against his desk. I'm writing this up as self-defense. Reese initiated contact. Multiple witnesses confirm that. But you need to understand something. He sets the pen down. This academy runs on discipline and chain of command. You just made an enemy out of someone with connections. His father is a captain. His uncle is an admiral. They protect their own. Understood, Chief. I don't think you do. Hawkins stands, walks to the window, looks out at the training yard. Reese won't let this go. He'll escalate. And when he does, I might not be able to protect you. Nova stands. I don't need protection, Chief. She salutes. He returns it slowly. She leaves. Outside, the sun is setting. Long shadows stretch across the quad. Nova walks back to her quarters, changes into clean utilities, and heads to the base library. It's quiet, nearly empty. She finds a computer terminal in the back corner and logs in, navigates to the personnel database, types in a name, Damon Reese. His file appears, standard cadet information, nothing unusual, but Nova knows how to dig deeper. She follows links, cross-references unit assignments, finds the thread connecting Reese to an incident 4 years ago, finds her brother's name listed in the related documents. She downloads everything, saves it to her encrypted drive, then she navigates to a different section of the database, the classified section, the one that requires credentials she definitely shouldn't have. She enters them anyway. The screen flickers, access granted. She searches for her own file, finds it, and freezes. Her entire record is there, every deployment, every mission, every classified operation. But it's been sanitized, redacted, stripped down to a single line of text. Ghost 200. Status: inactive. Security clearance: revoked. Someone has buried her, erased her service record, made it look like she was separated under dishonor-able conditions. It's a lie, all of it. But it's a lie that exists in official databases, a lie that will hold up to scrutiny unless she can prove otherwise. She sits back, thinks, realizes what's happening. Reese's family didn't just protect him 4 years ago, they've been protecting him ever since. And when Nova's name appeared on the academy roster, someone ran her background, found out who she was, found out why she was here, and made sure her record wouldn't hold up if she tried to expose what really happened to Aiden. It's not just a cover-up, it's a preemptive strike. Nova closes the browser, logs out, sits in the dark library and lets the implications settle over her like a weighted blanket. They think they've neutralized her. They think she's just another cadet with a fake background and no credibility. They think she'll quit or wash out or disappear. They're wrong. That night, Nova lies in her bunk and stares at the ceiling. Her roommates are asleep. The building is quiet except for the hum of ventilation and the distant sound of boots on concrete as the night watch makes their rounds. She thinks about Aiden. Thinks about the last time she saw him. Video call from some forward operating base she can't name. His face pixelated and lagging. His voice excited because he'd just gotten his orders to Norfolk. I'm going to make you proud, he'd said. And she'd believed him. Now she pulls out her phone, opens a locked folder, finds the video file she's been carrying for 4 years, the one she obtained through channels she'll never admit to using, the one that shows exactly what happened on that training tower. She plugs in headphones, watches it again, sees Aiden standing at the top of the tower looking down at the net, sees Reese and 2 others moving the net aside, sees Aiden realize what's happening, hears his voice, thin and scared. Reese, please, this is too high. The net isn't in position. Reese's response is clear, unmistakable. Jump, bitch, or leave the Navy. Nova closes the video, takes a slow breath. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. Tomorrow Reese will escalate. She knows this. He's already scared, already feeling the ground shift under his feet. Scared people do desperate things. Good, let him be scared. Let him dig himself deeper. Because when the time comes, and it will come soon, she'll have everything she needs to bury him the way he buried Aiden. Morning arrives. Nova is already awake when her roommate's alarms go off. She's dressed, bed made, gear prepped. She heads to the DFX for breakfast before the rush, eats quickly, alone. Reese doesn't show. Neither does his crew. That should be a warning. Nova knows it. But she also knows that whatever comes next, she's ready. At 0800, all cadets are summoned to the auditorium for an unscheduled assembly, mandatory attendance. Nova files in with the others and takes a seat in the middle section. Not too forward, not too far back. Captain Torres takes the stage. His expression is grim. "Good morning. This assembly has been called to address a serious matter." He pauses, looks out over the assembled cadets. "Yesterday, there was an incident during obstacle course training. Cadet Reese has filed a formal complaint alleging assault by another cadet." Murmurs ripple through the auditorium. "The investigation is ongoing. However, in the interest of transparency and maintaining order, I want to make one thing clear." Torres's voice hardens. "This academy does not tolerate violence. Any cadet found guilty of assaulting another will face disciplinary action up to and including expulsion." He dismisses the assembly. The cadets stand and file out. Nova stays seated until the crowd thins. Then she rises and heads for the exit. Reese is waiting outside. He's leaning against the wall, arms crossed, flanked by two of his crew. When he sees Nova, he pushes off and steps into her path. "Enjoy your last few days here," he says quietly, "because I'm going to make sure you're gone before the week is out." Nova looks at him, really looks at him, studies the way his hands are clenched into fists, the way his jaw is tight, the way his eyes keep darting to the side like he's expecting someone to jump out and validate him. He's scared, and scared people make mistakes. "We'll see," she says. Then she walks past him, doesn't look back, doesn't give him the satisfaction of seeing her react. But inside, the countdown has begun. That evening, after all official duties are complete, Nova returns to the library, finds the same terminal, logs in with the same stolen credentials. This time, she's not looking at her own file. She's looking at Reese's, and she finds something interesting. 3 months ago, Reese accessed a restricted personnel database, the same one Nova just used. He ran a search, and the search term was her name. He knew who she was before she even arrived. Nova leans back, thinks it through. Someone tipped him off, someone with access, someone who wanted to make sure Reese was prepared when she showed up. She follows the digital trail, finds a series of logged access points, different users, different terminals, but all connected to the same incident 4 years ago, and then she finds it, the name she's been looking for, Commander Paul Vickers, Judge Advocate General's Corps, assigned to Norfolk, former colleague of Captain Reese, Damon's father. Vickers is the one who buried Aiden's case. Vickers is the one who sanitized Nova's record. And Vickers is the one who warned Damon that a ghost was coming back to haunt him. Nova downloads everything, every access log, every document, every email, builds a case file that would make a federal prosecutor weep with joy. Then she logs out, stands, walks out of the library into the cool evening air. Reese thinks he's won, thinks he's untouchable, thinks his family's connections will protect him one more time. He's about to learn the difference between protection and justice. And Nova Hale is about to teach him that ghosts don't stay buried forever. The next morning arrives with news that spreads through the academy faster than wildfire. Commander Vickers has scheduled a mandatory combat readiness evaluation. All cadets, full participation, no exceptions. The assessment will take place in the main training hall at 1400 hours. Public observation allowed. Nova reads the announcement on the bulletin board outside the DFAC. She knows exactly what this is. Reese has pulled strings, called in favors, engineered a situation where he can humiliate her in front of the entire academy under the guise of legitimate evaluation. She walks to breakfast, eats her meal, drinks her coffee, shows nothing. At 1300 hours, cadets begin filing into the training hall. It's a massive space with rubberized flooring, high ceilings, and walls lined with equipment. Bleachers run along 2 sides. By 1345, over 80 people have gathered. Cadets, instructors, administrative staff, even a few officers who normally wouldn't bother attending a routine evaluation. Mason stands near the equipment lockers, arms crossed, jaw tight. He's seen this play before, knows how it ends. He catches Nova's eye as she enters and gives the smallest shake of his head. A warning, an apology, a recognition that whatever happens next, he might not be able to stop it. Nova takes her place with the other cadets scheduled for evaluation. Reese is already there, warming up with exaggerated stretches and loud encouragement to his crew. He's playing to the crowd, making sure everyone knows he's confident, in control, the alpha. Commander Vickers enters at 1355. He's tall, thin, with wire-rimmed glasses and the kind of face that looks like it's never smiled. He carries a clipboard and moves with the efficiency of someone who's done this 1,000 times. "Listen up," he announces. His voice cuts through the chatter like a blade. "Today's evaluation consists of hand-to-hand combat scenarios. Each cadet will face an opponent of similar rank and experience. You will demonstrate proper defensive techniques, controlled aggression, and tactical awareness. Any cadet who fails to maintain discipline will be removed from the program." He starts calling names. Pairing cadets. Setting them up on the mats. The matches begin. Most are brief, awkward, hesitant strikes and clumsy grappling. Instructors call out corrections. Vickers makes notes on his clipboard, then he calls Nova's name. "Cadet Hale, you're up." She steps onto the mat, assumes a ready stance, waits for her opponent to be announced. "Your partner for this evaluation, Cadet Reese." The hall goes quiet. Every conversation stops. Every head turns, because everyone knows this isn't random. This is theater. This is revenge dressed up as procedure. Reese steps onto the mat with a grin that shows too many teeth. He rolls his shoulders, cracks his neck, plays to the crowd. "Try to keep up," he says, loud enough for everyone to hear. Nova doesn't respond, just adjusts her stance, balances her weight, breathes. Vickers raises his hand. "Rules are simple. First to achieve a submission hold or force their opponent off the mat wins. Excessive force will result in disqualification. Begin on my mark." He drops his hand. Reese moves immediately, charges forward with the confidence of someone who's done this 100 times against smaller opponents. He telegraphs a right hook, obvious, meant to intimidate rather than land. Nova sidesteps, doesn't counter, just creates distance. Reese recovers, circles. Feints left and lunges right, trying to grab her waist for a takedown. Nova pivots on her back foot. His hands close on empty air. The crowd murmurs. "Stop running," Reese growls. He comes in again. This time he commits, throws a combination, jab, cross, hook, fast, aggressive. Nova slips the jab, blocks the cross with her forearm, and lets the hook pass over her shoulder as she ducks. She's not attacking. Not yet. Just defending. Letting him burn energy. Reese's breathing is already getting heavier. Frustration creeps into his movements. He telegraphs another right hand, this one with real power behind it, aimed at her face, meant to end the match fast and brutal. Nova sees it coming. Sees the way his shoulder dips half a second before his fist moves, sees the opening, and decides it's time. She doesn't dodge. Instead, she steps inside his reach. Her left hand shoots up and catches his wrist mid-punch, redirects the momentum upward and to the side. Her right hand grabs the front of his training shirt. She rotates her hips, uses his own weight and forward motion against him. Classical judo throw. Clean, precise, no wasted movement. Reese goes airborne. For half a second, he's suspended. Then gravity takes over and he crashes down onto the mat. The impact drives the air from his lungs. His shoulder, the same one Nova locked during the obstacle course, hits first. Something pops, not a break, just a joint stressed past its limit. The crowd gasps, actually gasps. The sound ripples through the hall like a physical wave, but Nova isn't done. As Reese hits the mat, the collar of her training shirt tears. The cheap fabric can't handle the force of the throw. It rips from her right shoulder down across her chest, and suddenly exposed under the harsh fluorescent lights is something nobody expected to see. A tattoo, black ink on tanned skin, positioned on her upper right shoulder and extending down toward her collarbone. The design is unmistakable to anyone with military experience. A seal trident, eagle, anchor, pistol, trident. The only unauthorized change is a number worked into the design. Small, precise, permanent. 200. And below the tattoo, running from shoulder to mid-bicep, is a scar. Jagged, angry. The kind of tissue damage that comes from shrapnel or blast debris. An IED scar. Combat damage. The hall goes silent. Not quiet. Silent. The kind of silence that happens when reality shifts and nobody knows how to process it. Mason is the first to move. He straightens from his position against the wall. His face goes pale. His mouth opens, but no sound comes out. Then he snaps to attention. Not parade rest. Full attention. Heels together, arms rigid at his sides. "Stand down," he says. His voice cracks on the first word. He clears his throat and tries again. "Stand down. Now." Other instructors turn, see the tattoo, see Mason at attention. The pieces start clicking into place. SEAL Trident, number 200, Ghost 200, the unit that officially doesn't exist. The operators who supposedly died on a black site operation 3 years ago, except one of them is standing right here, in a training hall in Norfolk, pretending to be a cadet. Nova steps back from Reese, straightens. Her torn shirt hangs open, but she doesn't try to cover the tattoo, doesn't try to hide, just stands there with perfect military bearing while 80 people stare at the proof inked into her skin. Reese pushes himself up, clutches his shoulder, looks at Nova, looks at the tattoo. His face cycles through emotions too fast to track: confusion, recognition, disbelief, fear. That's not... He stammers, points at her. That's fake. That has to be fake. Ghost 200 is dead. They're all dead. Nova turns her head slowly, looks at him with eyes that have seen things he can't imagine, survived things that would break him. Am I? She asks quietly. The question hangs there, rhetorical, damning. Mason crosses to where Commander Vickers stands frozen with his clipboard, leans in, whispers something. Vickers' face drains of color. He looks at Nova, looks at the tattoo, looks at his clipboard like it might offer an explanation. "Clear the hall," Vickers says. His voice is barely audible. He clears his throat, tries again louder. "Clear the hall. Everyone out, now." The cadets don't move, too shocked, too curious, too invested in watching this unfold. "I said clear the hall!" They scatter, file out through the exits in confused clusters. Whispers start before they even reach the doors. By tonight, every person on this base will know. By tomorrow, it'll be all over social media. SEAL Ghost survives, returns as cadet, throws academy bully like a training dummy. Within minutes, only 5 people remain: Nova, Reese, Mason, Vickers, and Captain Torres, who appears in the doorway looking like someone just told him the base is under attack. "Explain," Torres says. He's looking at Vickers. "Right now. Explain what I just watched." Vickers opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Captain, I need to make a phone call. You need to explain why a SEAL operator is enrolled in my academy under false pretenses. It's complicated. Uncomplicate it. Reese has backed away from the mat. He's staring at Nova like she's a ghost made flesh, which, in a sense, she is. His shoulder hangs at an odd angle, dislocated probably, but he's not thinking about pain. He's thinking about 4 years ago, about a name, about a face that looked similar to the woman standing 10 feet away from him. "Hale," he whispers. The name comes out broken. Aiden Hale. Nova takes 3 steps forward, closes the distance until she's standing directly in front of him. Her torn shirt reveals more than just the tattoo. Reveals scars, muscle definition that doesn't come from academy training, the physical evidence of a life spent in combat. She leans in, speaks quietly, just loud enough for him to hear. "You killed the wrong Hale." Reese's knees buckle. He catches himself, barely. His face cycles through every shade of white. You're his sister. I'm his justice. Nova, it was an accident. I swear it was. You told him to jump. You moved the net. You made sure there was nothing to catch him. Her voice is cold, clinical, each word measured and precise. And then you called your daddy and made it disappear. Reese shakes his head frantically. No, you don't understand. It wasn't supposed to. He wasn't supposed to actually jump. It was just a test. Just hazing. Everyone does it. Everyone doesn't die. Torres steps forward. His command voice returns. Someone needs to tell me what's happening. Right now. Nova doesn't break eye contact with Reese. 4 years ago, Cadet Aiden Hale died during a training exercise. The official report called it an accident, but it wasn't. Cadet Reese here ran an illegal hazing ritual. He ordered my brother to jump from a 14-meter tower after deliberately moving the safety net. Aiden fell onto concrete, broke his neck, died on impact. That's a serious allegation, Torres says carefully. It's a documented fact. Nova reaches into her pocket, pulls out her phone. I have video proof. I have witness statements. I have the original incident report before it was altered. And I have access logs showing exactly who buried the evidence. She holds up the phone. On the screen is a still frame from the video. Timestamp visible. Location data embedded. Aiden standing at the top of the tower. Reese and two others at the bottom, moving the net. Reese makes a sound like a wounded animal. Where did you get that? From the backup server your father's friend forgot to wipe. Vickers takes a step backward. His face is gray. Captain, I think we should continue this conversation in private. I think you should stay exactly where you are, Commander. Torres' voice could cut steel. He looks at Nova. You've been conducting an unauthorized investigation while posing as a cadet. I've been documenting a crime that was covered up by personnel within this command. That's not your job. It became my job when the official channels failed. Torres' jaw works. He's angry, but he's also smart enough to recognize when he's standing in the middle of something much bigger than academy discipline. Captain, Mason says quietly, permission to speak. Torres nods. I've been watching Cadet Hale. Mason pauses, corrects himself. Lieutenant Commander Hale since she arrived. Her training is operational level. Her discipline is flawless. And every single incident Cadet Reese has filed against her has been fabricated. I have documentation, witness statements, video footage from the range and obstacle course. Why didn't you report this? I did. To Commander Vickers. 3 times. He told me to drop it. All eyes turn to Vickers. He looks like he wants to sink through the floor. Reese's father is a captain, Vickers says weakly. His uncle is an admiral. I was told to handle the situation quietly, to make sure there were no complications. Complications, Torres repeats. The word comes out flat and dangerous. A cadet died 4 years ago and you call it a complication? I wasn't trying to... You buried evidence, you falsified records. You endangered my cadets to protect a killer. Torres pulls out his phone, dials a number. This is Captain Torres. I need NCIS at Norfolk Academy immediately. We have a situation. He pauses, listens. Yes, multiple parties, possibly criminal charges. He hangs up, looks at Reese. You're confined to quarters pending investigation. Move. Reese doesn't move. He's still staring at Nova, still trying to process that the quiet cadet he's been tormenting for days is actually a combat veteran who's been playing him from the start. I didn't mean for him to die, Reese says. His voice breaks. I swear I didn't. It was just supposed to scare him, just supposed to... You told him to jump. Nova's voice is quiet, deadly. You made him believe he had to prove himself. You exploited his fear and his desire to belong, and when he died, you covered it up to save yourself. I was 21. I was scared. My father said, your father made you a murderer. The word lands like a bomb. Reese flinches, physically recoils. Then something in him snaps. The fear turns to rage. The desperation turns to violence. He lunges at Nova, tackles her from the side. They hit the mat together. His hands go for her throat. Not training, not controlled aggression. Real violence. The kind born from panic and self-preservation. Nova doesn't panic. She's been here before. In tighter spots. Against more dangerous opponents. She tucks her chin. Protects her airway. Her hands come up between his arms. One sharp strike to the inside of his elbow. The joint hyperextends. His grip breaks. She rotates her hips, gets a leg between them, pushes, creates space. Reese tries to recover, but she's already moving. She catches his wrist, twists, applies pressure to the shoulder that's already damaged. He shouts in pain. Then she's behind him. One arm locked around his throat, not choking, not crushing, just immobilizing. Her other hand controls his damaged arm. She drives him face down into the mat, pins him there with her knee in his back. That's enough, Mason shouts. He rushes forward, but Nova is already releasing her hold, stepping back, hands up, showing she's done. Reese lies on the mat, gasping, crying, defeated. He attacked me, Nova says calmly. Everyone saw. Torres nods grimly. I saw. He looks at Mason. Chief, escort Cadet Reese to the brig. He's under arrest pending investigation. Yes, sir. Mason hauls Reese to his feet. The younger man doesn't resist. Just sags, like all the fight has gone out of him. As Mason leads him toward the exit, Reese looks back one more time. I'm sorry, he says. Nova, I'm sorry. Nova doesn't respond, just watches him leave. Watches justice finally start to move after 4 years of waiting. Torres turns to Vickers. You're relieved of duty. Report to my office in 30 minutes. Bring your service record and a lawyer. Vickers nods mutely. Leaves. Then it's just Torres and Nova. The captain studies her for a long moment, takes in the tattoo, the the scars, the absolute calm in her eyes despite everything that just happened. "Why didn't you come forward immediately?" he asks. "Why the charade?" Nova meets his gaze. "Because I needed him to show everyone who he really is. If I'd walked in here and told you Reese killed my brother, you would have asked for proof. I would have shown you the video. His father would have called his lawyers. They would have argued the evidence was obtained illegally. They would have cast doubt, created reasonable suspicion, and Reese would have walked away again." She gestures at the empty hall. "But now 80 people saw him attack me, saw him lose control, saw him admit guilt, saw me defend myself with minimal force, and they all saw this." She touches the tattoo. "SEAL operators don't lie, don't fabricate. We're trained to document, to wait, to let the target make mistakes." She pauses. "I let him think I was weak, let him escalate, let him create the conditions for his own destruction. And now there's no way his lawyers can spin this, no way his father can bury it." Torres is quiet for several seconds. Then he does something unexpected. He comes to attention, renders a salute. "Lieutenant Commander, I apologize for what you've endured, both 4 years ago and these past several days." Nova returns the salute, holds it precisely. "Thank you, Captain. For what it's worth, I would have preferred to know who you were from the beginning. I couldn't risk it. Vickers had access to personnel files. If he'd known, he would have warned Reese, given him time to run or destroy more evidence." "Understood." Torres lowers his hand. "What happens now?" Nova pulls out her phone, opens the video file, hands the phone to Torres. "Now you watch this, all of it, and then you forward it to NCIS along with every document I've compiled. Access logs, witness statements, the original incident report, all of it." Torres takes the phone, presses play. The video starts. Aiden's voice fills the quiet hall. "Reese, please, this is too high. The net isn't in position." Reese's response is clear, unmistakable, damning. "Jump, bitch, or leave the Navy." Torres watches the entire thing, watches Aiden hesitate, watches him finally jump, watches him fall, watches the moment of impact that the camera doesn't quite show but the audio captures, the sickening thud, the screaming that follows. When it ends, Torres's hands are shaking. He hands the phone back. "I'll make sure everyone who needs to see this does. And I'll make sure Reese never wears a uniform again." Nova nods. "That's all I ask." "What about Vickers, the Sequan who helped cover it up?" "NCIS will handle them. I've documented everything. Every email, every phone call, every altered report. They won't escape this. Justice isn't always fast, but it's always patient. Hit that subscribe button because this story isn't over yet." Torres leaves. Nova stands alone in the empty training hall. She pulls out her phone, opens her contacts, finds a number she hasn't called in 4 years. Her mother. The call connects on the third ring. "Hello?" "Mom, it's Nova." Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. "Nova? Baby, where have you been? We haven't heard from you since—" "I know, I'm sorry. I had something I needed to finish." She takes a breath. "I found out what really happened to Aiden." Another silence. Longer this time. When her mother speaks again, her voice is thick with tears. "Tell me." So Nova does. Tells her everything. About the hazing, about Reese, about the cover-up, about the video, about the last 4 years spent building a case while staying operational and watching for the right moment to strike. When she finishes, her mother is crying. Not sad crying, angry crying, relieved crying, grieving crying, all of it at once. "Is he in custody?" her mother asks. "As of 10 minutes ago, yes." "Good." The word is fierce. "Good. Your brother deserves justice. He's going to get it, I promise." They talk for a few more minutes. Then Nova ends the call. Stands in the quiet hall with her torn shirt and her exposed tattoo and the weight of 4 years finally starting to lift. Mason returns 20 minutes later. He finds Nova sitting on the edge of the mat, staring at nothing. "Reese is in the brig," Mason reports. "NCIS is on their way. Should be here within the hour." "Thank you, Chief." "Can I ask you something?" She looks up. "Go ahead." "Why didn't you just kill him?" The question is blunt. But Mason is old school, been in combat, knows what operators are capable of, knows that Nova could have ended Reese anytime she wanted and made it look like an accident. Because that would have made me like him, Nova says simply. And I'm not like him. I'm a soldier, not an executioner. Aiden deserves justice, not revenge. Mason nods slowly. For what it's worth, your brother would be proud. I hope so. They sit in silence for a moment. Then Mason stands, offers his hand. Nova takes it, lets him pull her to her feet. What happens now? He asks. To you, I mean. You going back to the teams? I don't know. She touches her tattoo. Ghost 200 officially doesn't exist anymore. I've been listed as inactive for 3 years. Getting reinstated will take time. Paperwork, evaluations. But you want to go back. It's all I know how to do. Mason smiles sadly. Then you'll make it happen. People like you always do. The next 72 hours pass in a blur of interviews, depositions, and official statements. NCIS brings in 6 investigators. They interview every witness from the training hall, pull security footage from 12 different angles, analyze the video Nova provided frame by frame, verifying timestamps and metadata. Build a case that's airtight and unassailable. Reese is formally charged with involuntary manslaughter, obstruction of justice, filing false reports, assault on a superior officer. The list grows longer every day as investigators dig deeper into his record and find other victims. 3 former cadets come forward with their own stories of hazing and intimidation, none as severe as Aiden's case, but enough to establish a pattern of behavior that paints Reese as a serial abuser who finally went too far. Vickers is charged as an accessory after the fact, falsifying official documents, abuse of authority, conspiracy to obstruct justice. His career is over. His pension is in jeopardy. His freedom depends on how much he cooperates with investigators still hunting the others who helped bury the truth. Captain Reese, Damon's father, is under investigation. So is the Admiral uncle. The entire chain of protection that kept this buried for 4 years is being systematically dismantled. Phone records, email trails, financial transactions that suggest favors exchanged and debts called in. The network runs deeper than anyone expected, and Nova sits through every interview with the same calm she's shown since day one. Answers every question with precision, provides every document with perfect organization, never wavers, never breaks. The investigators marvel at her composure. One of them, a woman with 20 years at NCIS, tells her afterward that she's never seen a witness maintain such control while discussing their own brother's death. Nova simply nods, because control is what she does, what she's trained for, what kept her alive through 200 missions in places that don't officially exist. On the 4th day, she receives orders. Report to Naval Special Warfare Command in Coronado. Fitness for duty evaluation, psychological screening, recertification for active status. The paperwork is signed by a vice admiral she's never met but whose name carries weight in the SEAL community. She packs her duffel, the same one she arrived with, leaves her cadet uniform behind, folded neatly on the stripped bunk, walks out of the quarters wearing civilian clothes, jeans, boots, a plain black t-shirt, and carrying everything she owns. Mason is waiting outside. He's not in uniform, just jeans and a t-shirt, off duty. He's holding 2 cups of coffee, hands her one. Came to see you off, he says. You didn't have to. Yeah, I did. He shifts his weight, uncomfortable with emotion but pushing through anyway. Listen, what you did here, it took guts and patience and a level of discipline most people can't comprehend. Your brother would be proud. Hell, I'm proud. And I never even met the kid. Nova's composure cracks. Just a little. Just enough to show the exhaustion underneath. The grief she's been carrying like extra weight in her pack for 4 years. The weight of carrying this alone for so long. Thank you, Chief. You going back to the teams? If they'll have me. They will, because you're one of the best, and we need people like you. He pauses, takes a sip of coffee. For what it's worth, I think what Reese said at the end was true. I think he really didn't mean for Aiden to die. I think he was just a stupid kid playing dangerous games. Doesn't matter what he meant, Nova says quietly. Only matters what he did, and what he did after. Mason nods slowly. Fair enough. She nods, adjusts her duffel, starts to walk away. Hey, Nova. She turns back. If you ever need anything, anything at all, you've got my number. She smiles, small, genuine. The first real smile anyone at this academy has seen from her. I know. Then she leaves. Walks across the quad toward the main gate. The sun is setting. Long shadows stretch across the concrete. The same concrete where Reese grabbed her collar and told her she didn't belong, where cadets whispered about her being weak, where she let them all believe the lie because the truth would have ruined everything. Turns out she belonged more than anyone realized, more than they'll ever fully understand. 2 weeks later, the academy holds a memorial service. They unveil a plaque in the training hall, right where Nova and Reese faced off, where the truth finally came to light. Aiden's name is engraved in bronze, his dates, and a simple inscription: "Justice delayed is not justice denied." Captain Torres gives a speech, talks about accountability, about the importance of chain of command, but also the courage to break it when the system fails, about owing a debt to families like the Hales who gave everything and deserved better than what they received. The hall is packed, every cadet, every instructor, media crews from 3 networks. It becomes national news, the story of the SEAL who went undercover to expose her brother's killer. The story spreads across military bases worldwide, becomes a cautionary tale, a rallying cry, a reminder that some ghosts don't stay buried. Nova doesn't attend. She's already back in Coronado, already running obstacle courses and qualifying on ranges and proving to evaluators that Ghost 200 is very much alive, that 3 years listed as inactive haven't dulled her edge or slowed her reflexes. If anything, she's sharper, more focused, more dangerous. But she receives a photo, Mason sends it, the plaque, the crowd standing at attention, the moment of silence, and a short message. He's finally at rest. Nova saves the photo, adds it to the case file she started 4 years ago, closes the folder, files it away in a drawer she doesn't plan to open again. 1 month after that, the verdicts come down. Reese is convicted on all charges, sentenced to 8 years in military prison, dishonorable discharge, loss of all benefits. His name will be forever associated with cowardice and murder, the kind of stain that doesn't wash off. Vickers accepts a plea deal, 5 years. Dishonorable discharge. Full cooperation with ongoing investigations into the other officers involved. He gives up names, dates, details, helps investigators map the entire network of corruption that enabled Reese's protection. Captain Reese is forced into retirement. No criminal charges, but his reputation is destroyed. Every officer who served under him now questions whether their careers were built on merit or connections. The Admiral Uncle resigns under pressure from the Secretary of the Navy himself. The system works, slowly, imperfectly, but it works. And Nova Hale stands on a beach in Coronado at 0500 watching the sunrise. She's been reinstated, full active duty, no restrictions. Ghost 200 is operational again, ready for deployment, ready for whatever comes next. Her phone buzzes, text message, unknown number. She opens it. Ghost 200, we have another Reese, different name. Same problem. Tower 4 sends regards. Nova reads the message twice, studies the words, recognizes the format, the code, the authority behind it. Tower 4 is a designation she knows, trusts, has worked with before in places she can't talk about. Then she looks out at the ocean, at the sun climbing higher, at the waves rolling in with perfect regularity. Eternal, unstoppable, patient. She types a reply. Send coordinates. Deletes the conversation. Pockets the phone. Turns back toward the base where her gear is already packed and her team is waiting for briefing. Because ghosts don't rest. They don't retire. They don't stop hunting just because one target is down. They move to the next mission, the next objective, the next person who needs justice but can't get it through official channels. Somewhere, someone is being bullied, being broken, being told they don't matter, that they're weak, that they should just quit. And somewhere, a ghost is watching, waiting, building a case, letting the target dig their own grave one shovel of dirt at a time. Justice isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need validation or applause. It just is, patient, inevitable, absolute. Nova Hale walks back across the sand, back to the compound where her team is waiting, back to the work that never ends. The shadows shift around her, not hiding her, just keeping her company, moving with her like old friends who understand what she's become. Because ghosts don't die. They adapt, they evolve. They become something more dangerous than any enemy can prepare for. They become justice itself. And somewhere in Norfolk, a plaque catches the morning light, a name preserved in bronze, a life remembered, a death avenged. Aiden Hale didn't die in vain. He died to teach his sister a lesson she'll carry forever. That some people will only respond to one thing, not words, not appeals to conscience, not pleas for mercy. They respond to consequences, swift, certain, unavoidable. And Nova Hale has become very good at delivering consequences. The screen fades to black, but the sound continues, breathing. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold, combat breathing, the heartbeat of a ghost who's still hunting, still watching, still waiting for the next name, the next target, the next person who thinks they're untouchable. They're wrong. They're all wrong. And by the time they realize it, it's already too late.
Every soldier carry a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.